the one and only Bill D'Alessandro coming inside of the show right now, VP of Corporate Development, coming to us by way of FoodScience. This guy, he knows a thing or two. He knows a thing or two. I think he's scaled a little revenue in his day. I think he's appropriately used debt, methinks, in his day, because he's also got a lot to say about that. And I think if you've got a dog or a pet that is alive, he probably knows what brands that pet needs to be consuming and the biggest bets to make over the next 10 years inside of that space. We must welcome him inside of this show. Welcome now the one and only Bill D'Alessandro. Get in here, Bill.
Let's go, in here. All right. Man, that is a great intro. And the first time in a decade I've not been introduced as a CEO, which was kind of weird. Having run my own business. Really, well, I've run my business for a decade and I'm not anymore, which is weird for me.
Whoa. I mean, so tell us about this. Tell us about this, Bill, because I think a lot of people that get into e-com, you don't need a PhD, a little freedom there. I can start a business. I can sell stuff on the interwebs. It's kind of nice. I can be my own man or my own woman. And now you've got like a normal job again. Like, I mean, I guess,
Well, I've managed to make it not so normal. It's actually,
I was about to say, yeah,
it's been super weird, but fun. So I don't know if people, know me. So I've been in e-commerce for over a decade. The main business that I grew was called Elements Brands, which was a holding company. We had 8 brands under the umbrella. The largest of which was called Natural Dog Company, which we sold to FoodScience last year. FoodScience is a Morgan Stanley Capital Partners portfolio company. So I am now the VP of Corporate Development, which is a fancy way of saying I'm in charge of acquisitions. So my job is to go buy other businesses, other pet businesses. So if you are listening and you have a pet business and you want to sell it, I have a checkbook. We would love to.
That's right.
But it has been wild because I actually put in for PTO now, which, I haven't done in a decade. It is a wild thrill to put in and just disappear because just go. Like you guys know, you run your own business. You can take vacation whenever you want, but you're not really ever on vacation, right?
Not really.
But the bifurcation of just to lob in a PTO credit and be like, I'm out. I'll see y'all next week. Wild thrill. So that was new to me.
I'm happy that you can do this. I somehow tied to the various accounts and such that I've been managing over the years. Even when I'm on vacation, I've never really taken a vacation. But I love this. I love this, and it rings so true. It rings so true, Bill. I understand that you are hailing to us by way of Charlotte, North Carolina. You're part of the Ecom gang
That's
there.
Right.
Is that right?
That's right. That's how me and Colin. Colin, where are you? You right down the street from me?
I probably am. I'm in East Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in South Park area. So yeah, we're probably 10 minutes away right now.
Casual flex. Chris, South Park is an incredibly nice area of Charlotte. If you want some lore about South Park.
Just a little flex.
I didn't live in South Park before I sold the business. Let me put it that way.
That's fair. That's fair.
We're glad that you do now, Bill. Tell us, man, what's going on in the pet world? What are you excited about? I mean, we've been seeing things developing with Loyal, and the dogs are going to live forever, and but I saw some metrics recently that maybe a little less spending on the pets as of late. In general, kind of macro trends. What's going on in the pet world? What excites you?
So it's interesting. Pet has been on a wild ride, for the past kind of 5 to 8 years. COVID was gasoline on the pet industry because suddenly everybody was home. And so they got dogs and cats, but largely dogs. And then also their dog is sitting staring up at them all day, every day. And so they started spending more money on the dogs, right? Yeah. So both total head count, dog count, and dollar spent per pet exploded. It also interplays with, just the general people are having fewer kids and getting more dogs. The humanization of pet. This is like a huge macro trend. People are having birthday parties for their dogs. They're giving their dog supplements. They're giving their dog, steak for dinner. So just dogs are the new kids. Plants are the new dogs is the other thing that I've heard. So basically, everybody that used to have a kid gets a dog. Everybody that would have had a dog gets a plant. I'm not sure this is a healthy trend overall, but it's definitely happening. So there was kind of this huge explosion during COVID. And my business, Natural Dog Company, really rode that wave. We scaled substantially during COVID. Great for everybody in the pet industry. Tons of private equity capital came in. So very heady days. That was when Zesty Paws sold for 6 times revenue, when Pet Honesty sold for something approximating that, et cetera. A ton of capital came into the space. The last couple of years of pet is a little bit of the shakeout. All those dogs are still here, right? Everybody that got a dog in COVID, like, you can't get them back. Those dogs are still here. But so much capital and so many brands came into the space. Now we're kind of seeing who has the staying power and who the winners are. There's so many Me Too brands. There's so many people with the same hip and joint supplement, the same Skin and Co supplement, et cetera. So there's a real desire now. There's a ton of capital that wants to invest in the space. I mean, Morgan Stanley wants to put 9 figures of capital.
Let's go, baby.
In the ground in pet. Right. So, and we're one of a number of private equity firms that have numbers that size. Wow. Challenge though, the space is growing at 10% a year over year. The TAM is like 1 to 1.5 billion, which sounds like a lot, but let's say $1.5 billion TAM, how much of that is the big established players? Probably half, right? How much of the remaining businesses are, have already sold or are ready to sell or are big enough to sell? And so the TAM of there's only, a couple $100 million of acquirable pet supplements revenue right now. And the private equity firms, us included, are really looking for what makes these brands different. Everybody's got the same hip and joint supplement, but like, do you have a patented molecule? Do you have just having a brand? Oh, we have IP. What is it? It's our logo. That's not enough. The private equity money really wants to see studies, science, patents. And that's what we're really focused on at FoodScience. I mean, our business has been around since 1970. It was family owned. Now it's private equity owned. But what drew Morgan Stanley to it was that we own several patents on pet supplements, on ingredients. We can make claims. We've done studies. So that's kind of where the pet industry is right now. Is it's really shaking out a lot of kind of the Me Too, same formula, meta ads, machines, brands. Some of them are still doing very well, but the CACs are really high. It's almost impossible to be first order profitable in the space. I mean, CACs are between 60 and $100 typically. And the price is 30, 40.
Oh, brother. Yeah.
But the LTV is great, right? So there's this J curve where you have to invest in the J curve. Retention really matters. So being well capitalized helps a lot to kind of ride.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then there's also a lot of these brands. Like I saw a founder the other day. This business was 3.5 years old, and they were tracking for 80 million this year in pet supplements. I mean, crazy, like out of nowhere, all Meta and YouTube. The problem though was it was a whole bunch of contractors, like no full-time employees, a whole bunch of international people. And it was like all Meta direct response ads. And so private equity looks at it and go, what are we buying? Right? Like who's like, we're going to be left holding the bag. Like whose throat do we choke? The founder leaves. How we run this loosely coupled network of agencies and contractors and all this stuff. And then the claims are totally out of bounds. Like they're making claims that like, if we were to buy this, we would get 20 letters, class action letters. Like the press release goes out, right? Morgan Stanley acquires such and such. Boom, lawyer field day. So what's interesting is people are scaling, but it's very hard to create a saleable asset right now because it's hard to get on the shelf at Petco because you go to Petco and you go, hey, look, we're doing 50 million online and I've got this hip and joint supplement. It's glucosamine and chondroitin and green lip muscle. And they go, I have 4 of those on my shelf already, right? Like I don't need you. And so it can be really hard to kind of crack out of that little D2C bubble. It's also very hard to scale in the D2C bubble without something really different and without making claims you're not allowed to make. So it's a hard needle to thread to create a saleable pet asset right now. But if you can do it, there are oodles of dollars, like desperate for it. Desperate for it. So if you're a founder out there, like I have thought this for a couple of years, huge opportunity to build private equity shaped, acquirable, clean, science driven brands right now.
Boy,
Acquirers are paying double-digit multiples. I mean,
Colin's like on fire in his brain.
I'm
right
going
now.
crazy right
I
now.
know
'cause
you're on fire.
I'm thinking about all of this all the time. So when you're looking at that business specifically, is that just spitting off a ton of free cash flow? And then for a way that you're thinking about that, could you make the argument back to Morgan Stanley where, okay, yes, this is throwing off a ton of cash flow, but we're also willing to then put in basically an interim CEO who's going to be a new operator to basically de-risk the business out of Meta?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know that's a lot easier said than done. You just hand wave
Totally.
like the biggest hand wave in
I know.
CPG. Once you diversify away from Meta, like, well, launch retail,
it's easy.
It's easy. But also, like, you got to remember, like, what price is the best diligence? And so, like, if I get to pay 1 times EBITDA, sure, we can do all that. But these businesses are asking for double-digit EBITDA multiples, revenue multiples, whatever, and it's just too much risk. And like that founder is going to get a huge check, and like you just got to hope that he stays interested enough to like pass the baton. And actually, this guy I'm talking about is an incredible marketer. I mean, like real talent, right? Which
he must be.
He is legit, like incredibly great marketer. The problem though is that makes his business less saleable because it's obvious like he's the magician. Right? Like he's the whole business, which is great for him. Like he's making a ton of money in cash flow, but until he can kind of step out of the middle and very convincingly build a team that is the magic, the business is not nearly as acquirable.
Wow.
I have had this exact same sentiment for a clothing brand within our space because the founder is the exact clothing brand. It's through and through. And I've talked with the people in operations there and I'm like, you realize as long as he stays in there, this thing is basically hitting scale. Like you're basically destroying him personally because he is the business and it's like so closely tied at that point.
Yeah, it's very hard to exit when it's so founder dependent. I mean, if you want to exit and walk away, if you have a founder dependent brand, sure, raise minority growth capital, sell 40%, stay on, hire a CEO and stay involved. You know, that is a path that is open to you. But if you want to kind of sell 80+% of the business and then transition out of the business, almost impossible if you are the magician.
You know, you're bringing up a point here, Bill, often as you're talking about having a, like a proprietary product. There's like something that is fundamentally unique about it. And this seems to be, even cross-categorically true. It's definitely, it's not 2016 anymore. You can't just like spin up he's got a hat company. Now I got a hat company. And, we run it on Meta and we make lots of money. Right. This kind of proprietary type product, I mean, it seems to be more necessary than ever. Like, where's the innovation at, man? I mean, is it like discovering a new molecule that somehow you patented own? I mean,
probably licensing a new molecule, right? Probably finding one that has already been created. There's actually, which has been interesting, I've spent more time in this space over the last year. There actually are a fair number of businesses that are $1 million in sales and barely break even because the skill of developing the new molecule very often does not overlap at all with the skill of creating a brand, running meta ads, etc. Same thing does not overlap at all with the skill of running a pet supplements manufacturing facility, right? Like these are why value chains exist. So some of the work that I've been doing is trying to find these smaller businesses that have real science, but are just bad at business and trying to make them a deal where they can participate some in the upside and say, hey, like we already work with tens of thousands of veterinarians. We already have shelf space at every major pet retailer and Target and Walmart and all these places. So why don't we take your IP, package into a product with our name on it, pay you a royalty, and we both win here because you can't do this without us.
Well, that's the deals we're exploring. That sounds like hand over fist. Everybody needs to be giving Bill that deal. They need to be rubber stamping that one saying, yes, please.
Yeah. I mean, bring them on. We're trying. That's my job is try to find those.
That's a great deal.
But you're right, though, in that there is so much Me Too. And in big TAMs too, like clothing is like the classic massive TAM, right?
Yeah.
And Me Too can totally work. And you can build a brand. You can build a brand on brand, right? If the product's not that different. But to get the really big exit multiples, you really do have to have something different. And this is not just in pet. And the way AI is commoditizing marketing and operations. I mean, one of the last remaining moats is product. It's got to be legitimately different, and it's got to be protectable, because that's the other challenge. Like I see, I have seen some businesses that have a unique molecule or ingredient, but it's off patent. And this just means no one else is doing it. As soon as you scale and win, everybody else will go, oh, and your Amazon will be full of competitors, your MetaFeed will be full of competitors. So having both unique product is great. It's necessary, but not sufficient. You also it has to be protectable. I mean, as you guys know, having been around e-com, like all the Chinese clones, all the marketers who are better than you. I mean, like the piranhas come, right? As soon as any blood in the water. So the best businesses have some sort of moat, protectable, so they can repel the barbarians at the gate.
That's where the gremlins come out. That's where all the e-com gremlins come out. I want a piece of that pie, baby.
Yeah. That's right. And then you look at them and you're like, crap, they're better than me too at marketing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, Bill, just going through all of this and going through the due diligence of a ton of these brands, are there any other categories that you're super fired up about? I know that you're specific into pet, but is there any other categories where you're like, this is a really beautiful business being built right now, a beautiful category that private equity would just gobble up? Like, is it the peptide category? Is it XYZ category that you're just fired up to have a Groon's exit on?
They're peptides for dogs. Peptides for dogs, maybe.
That's what Loyal is. I mean, Loyal is peptides for dogs, right? I think we're probably it's funny. I was going to say we're maybe a ways off from peptides for dogs, but what's interesting is we might not be, because the regulatory barriers are so much lower in animal. Yeah. So, and that, by the way, is Loyal's whole thing. They're trying to prove this out in dog and then take it to human, because the regulatory barriers are lower in dog. That's their whole strategy.
Oh, look at you, Bill. No, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's their whole thing. They've got this compound that they think is a longevity compound, but how are you ever going to take that to human? Because your trials need to be 30 years long. Yeah, right? Like, it's not viable. And also that whole FDA is miserable, right? So they're going to do it in dog, who have shorter lifespans, fewer regulatory barriers, and then try to make the leap to human.
Tip of the cap. We need to have a tip of the cap for Bill D'Alessandro here. That's crazy to me. Yeah, that's crazy to me. And that's good sauce for us. Tell me this, Bill. I have heard you often riff on debt in a positive sense. I think maybe just because of my background, growing up like working class, lower middle class, just my own background from East Texas and all the things. I'm just like debt bad, sure. And I got to avoid that. The only debt I want to carry is my mortgage, and debt bad, no debt, please. And I've just kind of like grown up and lived in this kind of bootstrapped mentality. And tell me, how do people, use debt and not burn themselves up, ruin their business?
You've been hanging out with my good friend Andrew Darian. I saw you had him on the show weeks ago, and it seems like he's working your mouth, because he and I always spar about this, because he's the same way, and I think a lot of people are, rightfully so, because most people, when they think about debt, they think about consumer debt, consumption debt, right? A car loan, a credit card debt, like those types of things. And yes, those things are financial poison, and you don't need to be over levered in your personal life. Yeah, but business debt, or I would say asset-backed debt, and I'll use your example of the mortgage, right? A mortgage is fundamentally not credit card debt. And there's, somehow that the mortgage is okay and the credit card debt is not, right?
Yep.
And the reason the mortgage is okay is because it's backed by an asset that is hopefully appreciating, but also in theory, it's cash flowing. Your house is not cash flowing you directly, but it's saving you the rent, right? There's a financial calculation in owning that asset where the leverage makes sense. You can take that same concept and bring it to business debt, which can make a ton of sense. You've heard debt referred to as leverage.
Yeah.
Right? Where does that term come from? It literally is referring to the lever, right? It magnifies your outcome. So if you put debt on a financial investment of any kind, the acquisition of a business, the ownership of the business, the expansion of a business into a new area, et cetera, you're going to have to put less of your money, aka equity, in, because you get to put some of the bank's money, debt in, right? If things go good, you do great, right?
Yeah.
Because the bank only needs to get paid back their principal plus 12% or whatever, right? They don't participate in the upside at all, right? If things go bad, you get zeroed out really fast, right? And you know this in the context of buying a house, right? If the house declines a little bit in value, all of your equity is vaporized. So debt magnifies your returns. So debt in itself is not bad. Debt is a tool. I always say to people, it's like fire or a gun. Like you can cook your dinner or burn your house down.
Burn that house down.
Fire is not bad, but it's dangerous, right? It's a powerful tool, and you have to know what you're doing. And the challenge in the e-com space over the last 5 years has been kind of the rise of this merchant cash advance style lending. You know, click a button, no diligence, you pay back 12% of your sales every day until it's paid back. And people go, oh, like this is, you know, this is easy money. And they just press the button, press the button, press the button. And they don't understand typically why they need the money. What they just know is they go, I have a PO due. I need to buy more inventory and I don't have the cash. Boink. And they press the button. Well, why? Right? It's probably because your margins aren't as good as they need to be. It's probably because your overhead is too high. It's probably because your meta spend is too high. Your CACs are too high, right? You have a business model problem. And it's like that meme where the guy like slaps the sticker on the tank of water. Like, bam, fixed it, right? And that's what people do with the merchant cash advances. Boom, it's fixed. And then they need another one and need another one. And then they go bankrupt because they didn't they fixed typically a margin problem with debt, right? They didn't ask like, why don't I have the cash to pay for my next run of inventory? The previous run of inventory, in theory, I'm selling it for more than I bought it for. So why did the previous run of inventory not generate the cash that I need to buy the next run of inventory? And that's the question to be asking, not slap the tape on the tank, right?
Boy, that's
so
perspective.
You need to be, if you're going to borrow money of any kind, merchant cash advance or otherwise, you need to be holding in your hand a sophisticated financial model that is telling you what you are going to do with that money, how you're going to earn a return on the money in excess of the cost of borrowing it, and how you're going to pay back the principal plus interest. And if you are holding in your hand that financial model, rock and roll, right? I mean, that's what debt is for. Debt is used all day, every day. The entire private equity industry is built on debt. Almost every public company is carrying debt because it allows them to magnify their equity returns and deploy their capital into productive places. But unsophisticated use of debt will destroy you and you can burn your house down. So you need to be holding that sophisticated financial model. And if you are not, stop. Don't press that button.
So true.
Listening to you talk about it, it makes me think, as long as I'm near Bill, if I need a sophisticated financial model, one will magically appear. You know, listening to you talk about it, it makes all the sense in the world. It makes all
I mean, so if you don't have a sophisticated financial model, you can find me. I will help you. There's a ton of good content on the internet. You need a 13-week cash flow model. Type 13-week cash flow model in your favorite AI model of choice. It will probably build it for you, right? Wow. And model out the cash flows. Where's the cash coming in? Now I'm layering on this new cash going out. Can I service all the debt? Am I going to have the same problem in 90 days when I need to buy more inventory, et cetera? So it doesn't have to be rocket science, but I think people think, oh, like I'm not a finance guy. Like I can't do that. Like I don't, that's beyond my scope. But that is a cop out and it's not allowed. Like you are running a business, accounting is and finance are the language of business. You need to speak the business, or you speak the language of business, or get out. It's not, you don't just get to be bad at this. Like this is the thing. You're like, oh, it's just, okay, I'm just bad at this. But I can still run a business. No, you can't. Like you got to get good. Table stakes.
I totally agree. I mean, if you've seen so many deals at this point, you've done so much due diligence. You see so many deals. If there's an e-commerce owner listening to this, what are the 1 or 2, 3 pieces of advice that you're giving to them so that they can actually have that exit in the next few years? What do they need to be doing right now?
It's funny. This is the second call today where somebody asked me exactly that question. I was on with a pet founder like 2 hours ago. Same question. So what's interesting, so I mentioned, that business that scaled so fast, but they were making all the wrong claims. You need to do it the right way because private equity in general. So let's even zoom out. If you're going to sell your business, there is like a 80% plus chance you're going to sell it to private equity. Yeah. Like these are your typical acquirers, right? Unless you get really big and you're Groons and you're going to sell it, to a huge strategic. That's probably not you. Anybody listening, right? Like that's an outlier outcome. You are probably selling it to private equity or on even the lower end, a guy with an SBA loan.
Yeah.
Which means that these have got to be somewhat professional acquirers because their capital requires them to do a fair bit of underwriting. So you need to ask yourself, am I doing things the right way? Am I compliant with all the labor laws? Am I compliant with all the marketing law? Like, am I doing everything the right way? And if you're not, you got to get that cleaned up. So that's one. Two, you've got to be showing some profitability. I mean, I've seen people all the time. They go, oh, like we're not profitable. We're barely profitable because we're plowing it all back into growth. And I go, okay, so can you show me like a really sophisticated cohort model that is justifying that decision, cohort by cohort? And like the answer is always no. Because the problem is, right, like private equity is going to be using some debt to acquire your business, right? That's just how their business model works. And debt requires cash flow to service it. So if you already don't have any cash flow, I can't buy your business, right? A private equity firm can't buy your business with debt. And debt is, by the way, what allows them to pay more for your business. If they can't put any debt on it, they can't pay as much. So you need to build a business that can support incremental acquisition related debt, which means you need to be building a business that can cash flow.
Cash flow, baby.
It's got to be already cash flowing in the trailing 12. And the last thing I'll say, which is something my mentor just beat into my head. I was at a time very focused on optimizing for the exit. And I was always asking exactly that question. What do I need to do to make this thing really appealing to acquirers? And he always said to me, he goes, Bill, build a great business. Great businesses are always highly valued by the market. And, what does that mean? Like a great leadership team around you. It means a growing business. It means a profitable business, right? It means you're checking all the boxes. It means you're doing everything right. It means you can go on a vacation for 2 weeks and everything doesn't break, right? Yeah. Ironically, the business you want to build is the one that you never want to sell. Those businesses get the highest prices.
Yeah.
Boy,
totally agree.
Fascinating, Bill. Bill, I while we were talking, there is a pet owner that in my Rolodex that I think needs to talk with you.
Send them my way, baby.
I'm going to do that. And the funny thing is, you may have already talked to him, but I'm definitely going to send them your way.
If I'm doing my job, I have, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I bet you have. I bet you have. Tell us this, man. Where do people find you, follow you? People, especially people in pet, and they want to, get this thing rolling, get it down the line, see if there's any magic to be made there. Where do they go and find you and talk with you?
Yeah, please get in touch. And by the way, I'm cool to talk with people, even if you don't want to sell your business right now, but like you think you might want to sell your business in 2 years, and how do you want to have a more detailed, personalized version of the conversation we just had on the pod? I'm happy to do that too. Best place to find me. So I'm on X, as everybody is. I'm at Bill DA. I also have a really long corporate email address, but like if you just go to BillDA.com also, which is my website, remember Bill DA, like you can find me everywhere. Bill DA, Bill D'Alessandro. And there's a contact me form on there. Just hop in there or tweet me or get in my DMs. Like I'm very easy to find on the internet. Google my name, reach out. I love to chat.
Bill DA. I think, Colin, when I come to Charlotte, North Carolina, we need to find a way to South Park and
let's go.
Let's do it. I wore my poncho for you too. I'll wear it.
And you're looking good, bro. You're looking good in it too. You're looking good in it too.
We can take him to the new Charlotte Uchi that is migrating from Texas now in Charlotte. True.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't been yet, so I'll save it for you.
I have. It's pretty good.
It's good.
All right.
Let's do it.
It's time. Bill, we appreciate you joining us. We look forward to having you back, brother. Thank you, man.
Good seeing you guys. Thanks for having me.